We're here at the Trellix Cybersecurity Summit with Karan Sondhi, Chief Technology Officer, Public Sector at Trellix. Karan, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
I'd like to explore a little of some of the themes that you were addressing during the summit, one of which was what you kind of described as the good, the bad, and the ugly of the cybersecurity industry. Can you expand on that a little?
Sure. As I was sharing in the summit, a lot of my perspectives are informed from my time in the government and in the industry. And what I've seen is sort of this evolution where back in the early 2000s, there was never enough capital to go do cybersecurity. Over time, that's naturally changed. There's a lot more capital available to the senior leaders who are trying to fund innovation efforts there, right? Modernizing the SOC, bringing more people on board, trying to get rid of legacy tools. And at the down in the weeds, the people who are actually operating, they finally have the technologies in their hand. That's been sort of the progression from a capital perspective. We're getting more funding for projects over time. I was sharing with some of my friends back in the early days, we'd be scrapping for funds. We'd go to the CIO and make excuses like, oh, our security technologies, they're really IT modernization because there was a lot of IT modernization money available. So those days are gone. Now there's dedicated funding for cybersecurity. There's dedicated funding for security innovation, unlike in the previous years. So that's the good that's happening in the industry. I think the unfortunate things that are happening, though, is we're noticing companies, I hate to pin this on the company that's building our operating system and our productivity suites, but Microsoft has taken the position where they're not focusing the resources on securing the operating system and their productivity suite. They provide these tools to us to go use on a daily basis, but instead of actually focusing their resources energy on patching the vulnerabilities, patching the security issues that are happening with Exchange that are very disruptive to businesses and a lot of our customers, they're offering tools. They're saying, hey, here's a security tool that's bundled with our packaging for E3 and E5, and that's going to solve your problem. And I think that's unfortunate. I think that's really unfortunate. The industry went to them and said, hey, you've got to implement zero trust into your products. You got to make Office more secure. You've got to stop these vulnerabilities in Exchange that are critical to our business. Everybody uses Windows, right? We're seeing universities, schools, unfortunately even hospitals being hit with malware and ransomware attacks that are, all of these vulnerabilities are happening because of the issues in the operating system. And instead of focusing on the vulnerabilities and patching those or putting resources to close those gaps, they're offering the tools, and I think that's an unfortunate decision that they made. What happens, though, sort of the ugly from that perspective is they don't give executive leaders the opportunity to make a selection like the E3 and E5 license. It bundles Office with Defender security product, and when you do that, from an executive leader's perspective, I've been in those shoes, right? You see this investment you're making into the E3 license, and you're like, oh, Defender's included in there. Why would I not use it? I'm already paying for it as part of this package. It's sort of the analogy I use is like the Comcast bundle. You get all these channels whether you want it or not. And when they try to extract more value from those license agreements and they push those security tools down, what happens is the SOC operators realize, hey, the company that had these vulnerabilities in the operating system and productivity suite, the tools that they're providing for security are going to also have those gaps, right? I call it a blind side. If they have a blind spot for vulnerabilities in their operating system and their productivity suite, they're also going to have that in their security tools. And there's so many articles on the internet. There's so many technical write-ups that have been done that talk about this. So I just feel like that's an unfortunate decision that's been made. We're getting feedback from customers after they've deployed Defender that they're not much better off than they were before, and they've invested all this time and effort into deploying it, which has been disruptive to their SOC, right? You have to retrain, you have to install this, you have to package the software, you have to coordinate with the IT operations piece, and they're pulling it out. They're coming to us and other peers of ours and sometimes competitors of ours in the industry saying, hey, Defender didn't solve the problems that we were looking for.
So just kind of building on some of your comments about being heavily reliant on one major software provider, what's the way forward to help agencies diversify their risks or mitigate some of those risks as you see it?
Yeah, great question. I'll take an example that was recently publicized. So the US Army selected Google Workspaces instead of Office, which seemed like an unheard of thing, right? Everybody uses Office for a vast majority of their productivity needs. But the US Army made a very courageous decision. They said, we need diversity of tools, we need diversity of vendors, and we need diversity of perspectives. So by going to Google Workspaces, they've sent a clear message that they want diversity everywhere, not just in their operating system, in their cloud provider and security, but including the productivity suite. And I think that theme is going to follow. We're going to encourage our customers to look for a diverse set of tools. And our ecosystem with XDR, Aparna talked about it at the conference today, we've designed it with third-party vendors in mind. We're a completely open ecosystem. We provide connectors and technologies that allow us to translate the data that's coming into our XDR. We also provide the technology backend that will work with any of our peers. So we encourage our customers to do a pilot. We're looking for feedback. We're looking for opportunities to grow. And I think diversified tools is the right path forward.
Well, Karan Sondhi, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to share some of your insights and perspectives here at the Trellix Cybersecurity Summit.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.